is why I am educated to talk about this. I have a degree. I studied this for 4 years of my life. So let me talk. As time goes on, I keep bringing on better and better points because I rewatched my video and I realized, wait, this is another good point. Steel is fantastic for for building in the future. I looked it up. Steel at the minimum is $9.50 per square foot to $11 per square foot if you want to build a steel frame around your house, versus wood being $1 to $5. However, I remember like there was an instance where it's just, overall they're obsessed with building wood because steel costs more. But the fact is that steel can block, it has the seal that's provided that you purchase for these house, for the materials you want to build for your house. It's covered with fire resistant material. And a lot of places lack that in Los Angeles. I'm not quite sure where is a steel populated place, but I highly recommend to build off steel if you're ever considering building a house. Because even though, yes, it costs twice as, literally like 9.5x to 11x as much, you're going to actually have a better product. Or choose concrete. I saw this debate on TikTok because it was like, oh, Kanye's house is still gonna last the fire, but he sold it. But it was a whole concrete house. And what's fascinating is that it's able to withstand that. I don't know why wood was so highly promoted when all these people are building houses, because when you think about building a house, thinking about you think about all these materials, but thinking about the frame material is probably the last thing you're thinking about. But the best I can tell you what to do in the future, if you are building a house, if you are purchasing a house, or if you water your plants, put plants there, but that sounds so insensitive, but the air quality will improve, you're where you are, but also make sure that you build with steel. I know that education is not there because it's just this underground education. Here it is. But to add on, the reason is when people are trying to build all these wood houses, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to be insured. And the insurance companies took out their fire insurance 3 or 4 months ago. So they were not prepared for that. So don't trust insurance companies at all. They're gonna, if the insurance companies take anything away, run. Just why did they do that? It was clear sign of state. But in the future, if you ever consider rebuilding, building, steel. Take what I say with a grain of salt. Like a miniature grain. They figured, let's cook and talk, cook and chat. Okay, so I am from Los Angeles. I grew up there my whole life. Luckily, nothing has happened. We just had our fence fall down. I grew up in Pasadena, Pasadena girl. No, stop. That was so bad. Pasadena girl for life. And here's the thing. While I was watching these fires, I actually was checking. I can't believe I did this. I was checking on if all my high schools were okay. Why did I do that per se? I did that because even though I did not have a good experience at some schools compared to others, it's still a place where children learn. I know that sounds a bit crazy, but I can't believe people are going through this. And my parents are there. They're not leaving. They're like, what if we get robbed? Luckily, all their neighbors are there, so not gonna happen. But this makes me think. See, this is the real estate development side of me. Like, what's going to happen to LA? Now, I did a lot of studying back when I was in Italy. And what typically they would say is, like, think about Rome, okay? And the fact that it's, like, built on, like, top of, like, everything's built up on top of each other. Even, like, the big fire of Rome. Like, everything was just built relatively on top of each other. And think about Japan. Yes, I know, like, it's, you know, like World War II. Yes, it's not, like, the same measures of Japan, but think about ever since that happened. Think about how efficient Japan has become. It's probably one of the, like, higher technological societies, you know, there is. So what would they do first? Obviously, they would improve the transportation of the city, because honestly, like, LA is, girl, it takes like 2 hours to get to Santa Monica. Like, it can depend on traffic. And also, like, Elon Musk was trying to approve a lot of, like, his, like, Tesla thing, where it's like you get a car and you just transport to the other side of the city within, like, minutes. Crazy. But it didn't pass through because a lot of people were like, oh, it's going to ruin our home values. Well, look at that. The home values are gone, unfortunately. So what will happen? I was talking about this with one of my friends, and she said that it probably will accommodate more to affordable housing, because realistically, in a place like Los Angeles, the fact that a single family has a whole single family home, you know, that, like, is, like, gigantic, and that only accommodates, like, 4 people, when, you know, it could keep building on top of each other and make more. And my friend, one of my best friends, for relatively years of my life, he has been offered numerous times, because his house is on, like, a popular street. Like, it's like the last house standing. It's like you know how Carl's like the last house standing. So my friend was literally offered like $10 million to just give it up. Still not giving it up. It's probably worth way more now, because, you know, developers, they want that. They want that as a valuable piece of land. Now, if you think about it, how will that work when it comes to, like, this development? Like, I'm so intrigued by it because I did a lot of studying. This is part of my major, which is real estate development. So this is why I am educated to talk about this. I have a degree. I studied this for 4 years of my life. So let me talk. I'm not some uneducated person. I literally am fully educated. I spent multiple nights studying this. So I know what I'm talking about, okay? Anyways, so since, you know, and also like the 2828, LA City, like LA wants to make it a smarter city. The government wants LA to be a smarter city. But also, isn't everything so convenient? I don't know, Karen Bass not being around. I don't know, us not having access to real water. Isn't that a little weird over a fish? Like a singular fish, like it's not even a fish like we consume. It's just like it's smell. And, you know, it's just like those components added on with no fire insurance. Like, what will happen? I need to do more studying about this part, because the fact is that, like, what will happen to the land that we owned for a while? And also, now that there's no property value on it, will people sell it to the government? Will the government pay a fee for all this land? And then they'll be like, oh, you get like a free apartment for 20 years. I don't know. I'm just shooting things out of my mouth. But it's just possibilities, you know? And I think that's so, like, interesting, you know? Because it's like, everything just seems so convenient. And the thing is that I did some calculations. I literally saw this, like, 5 to 6 block perimeter of the Palisades, like a 23 by 6, and I just assumed that it was like $5 million for each house at the very least. That's like way above a $700 million lot, because some houses are like 9 mil and all of that. And think about it. It was like this whole fire, it says like calculated like $500 billion lost on the city. But there's like so much room for improvement. However, what is going to happen to all those people, that have been going through it? Would they probably become apartment dependent? Yes. Now also think about how we're probably going to become apartment dependent, because Los Angeles, it's like there's a housing problem. There's a clear housing problem. And I believe a year or two ago, they certified to add like an ADU on every lot. That was, which if you don't know what an ADU is, it's an additional dwelling unit, and it's for more people to live on it. The reason I know this is because yes, it's my major. It's literally my major to know this, so I have to know these things. But real question is, what makes a city more livable? It's primarily, it's the transportation, because clearly LA has a transportation issue. Part of me using we. I am LA, part of LA. And also the Hollywood Hills. That was, okay, Hollywood Hills was kind of an interesting take, because I was like, out of all things, you chose, arsonists clearly were for the Hollywood Hills. It was blatantly obvious. Okay. Now to add on to the fact that there's also, though, a ton of people in LA are talented, clearly, but we do have a job issue, but, and I did look this up on ChatGPT. There may be more inflation coming through because of this issue, and I was like, inflation? But what's so interesting is that Biden is sending $500 million over to Ukraine when, I don't know, LA may need it, the Carolinas may need it, and the Floridas may need it. Hawaii may need it. There are clearly people going through a lot. I may say something. Have you ever heard of Blackstone? Blackstone could probably, I don't know, buy all of LA all of a sudden. But I do think that there's a laundering scheme going on. With all this money going out to different countries that aren't us, while we're, as a country, clearly needing more assistance from our own government. The fact that the government literally takes 33% of my paycheck. And then they take tax on sales taxes. And they take tax on literally anything. Anything you buy. Any exchange of money. Tax. Hello, good sir. What? But yes, I wouldn't be surprised if Blackstone bought all that land that people owned. We're going to see who's willing to fight for that land. Because the thing is that, this is a whole restart, okay? And to answer my question of what makes a city livable, it's transportation, it's better air. Get air purifiers all over LA. Water your trees. Water your trees. Water your plants. Your plants love you. Water your plants, because then they help get the air. It humidifies the air. That's probably what's going to be initiated as well. More plant love around all of Los Angeles. Now, what's going to happen to the industry, like in terms of movies and, you know, all that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it just moves to New York City, unless, you know, Warner or some, like in Burbank or something, like burns down, which the probability of that is still low. But I saw that the Hannah Montana house burned, and a little part of me cried. Besides that, I really hope that if you are going through anything, I do pray to God every day. And, you know, and I actually do. You know, when people say like, oh, you're in my prayers, do you actually pray? Do you actually pray? Also, there's that guy online, Jacob, that tells the future. He's a prophet from God himself. And he predicted this. And he predicted a virus coming in. There's a virus coming in from China. I think we gotta pray to God more, guys. I'm going to church on Sunday. I'm gonna try, like, my goal is to go to church at least like twice a month. Because, like, I do really love Jesus Christ. I love God. But if you're not into religion, that is okay. Actually, but please, like, if you believe in God, at least pray in your own way. You know, I really think that, of course, like, I remembered my Kundalini teacher said this. I was like, oh, we're going through the Aquarian age and so many changes are happening, you know, and a lot was going through my head today. You know, I literally called my grandma early in the morning, her time. I called my parents. I always check the fire maps to make sure that they're okay, because, like, I mean, we're not close, but, you know, but still, it's like so many, there's so many people I know who's just, like, going through it. But I just wanted to maybe bring some light to the situation and think about the future possibilities of what Los Angeles can become, which is probably the first smart city, yes, and probably going to look very much like Japan. If you've ever been to Japan and you look around, it's kind of hard to focus at everything shining straight at you. But hey, like, it's beautiful, it's efficient, it's crazy efficient. Like, when I was there, it was efficient, but oh my gosh, everyone was so depressed. Because, like, loneliness, and ironically, with the increase of technology, the lonelier we may get. Because we lack social skills. I still have social skills, it's just sometimes I get a little scared.
I actually had to do this fellowship back in Japan. By the way, that's my Japan education. And what I specifically mentioned, and my professor thought I was a genius for this, about how there should be more so we had to look into real estate development community, and the community was just like a lot of houses pretty much, and it's like, oh, how do we make it more efficient? And simply I was saying, you know, I made an observation while I was in Tokyo, there was a lack of greenery. You know, there's just one big center of greenery, but there wasn't there were no trees on the streets, like as many trees as like if you were to go to Nara or go somewhere else, because, like, you know, plentiful greenery. But I've noticed that when there's a lack of greenery in an area, it tends to bring up more, you know, depression. I don't know. It was like a weird study that I was looking into, because I was very curious about the lonely rates, but also the fact is, it was like, I literally was in Japan, and when I was there and I was writing about maybe I wrote in my paper, I'm not sure, but I did write how there needed to be, literally there needed to be like more of that. And also insulation really lacks in Japan, by the way. Somehow the laws don't really focus on insulation.
unfortunately. So I had to recommend tatami mats to a ton of people. But I will say, to give extra education, that's why I am so hard on like greenery and stuff like that. Because the fact is, it's just like, it'll improve your livelihood. Now I need to get a plant, but the fact is, that's my feng shui. I can't get a plant where I sleep. And I live in a studio.
Okay, well, this is my finished product. But besides that, I forgot to mention this very, very important point. Gavin Newsom was elected through pretty privilege. Because I remember when Gavin Newsom was elected, people were like, wow, he's so hot. Like, all the time. So, yeah, we elected a mayor. I didn't vote for him because I didn't get the opportunity to. We didn't elect him because we were thinking, wow, he's beautiful, rather than, wait, what about these policies? Also, though, Karen Bass, she should have never been elected. She was not qualified. You know who was? Rick Caruso. I will stand on that hill. My avocado fell. But Rick Caruso. See, my avocado. Rick Caruso should have been chosen. But I don't know why. Ooh, it stained my shirt. I don't know why everyone didn't choose, like, everyone's like, oh, like Karen Bass, like, kick the wealthy out. But there's a reason they got wealthy in the first place. That's why you have a rich person run your stuff, because then they want you to get rich. Because then they already succeeded. Like, after, like, well, I don't know. Some people are still power hungry after they become mega rich. But some people actually know when to, like, pull the brakes and be like, you know what? I'm happy now. And Rick Caruso was that. Karen Bass is over in Ghana. She ditched LA like a whole week ago. Yeah. Why are you over in Ghana? And you don't even want to come back to take care of us. And the governor, Newsom, didn't even sign. Like, he was like too busy saving a fish. Over saving, I don't know, your state. Think about San Francisco. The fact that originally you could steal anything under $5,000 and you would get away with it. Police would not chase you. Somehow it got raised down to like, I think 1,500 or 3,000 over in OC, Orange County, and they got caught because of the new laws, as the lady said when she got caught at an Ulta store. Yeah. Well, now we know. Well, now I already knew that Newsom was already incompetent because of San Francisco. You literally can't walk around. There's crime everywhere in San Francisco. That's like the unsafest place. It's literally Gotham City in real life. It's Gotham City in real life. Have you ever walked? Like, I lived in Oakland, and then I like would go into the city like all the time.